This podcast is intended for adults 18 years and older. It contains explicit language and sexual situations. All thoughts and opinions expressed are of our own and not of those of any specific group, employer, or individual, and is not intended to take as professional advice.
Welcome to the Foreplay Podcast. Join the journey, experiences, and sexual adventures of two high school sweethearts navigating through the swinging lifestyle as millennials. Come along for the ride. Dare to play?
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Foreplay Podcast. This is Bella.
This is Jase. So today's podcast is going to be a little bit different. I thought it would be fun to ask some questions that, let me say this first. I thought it'd be fun to ask some questions that men have to women in the swinging lifestyle. And if you guys like this podcast, maybe Bella can do the questions that women have to men in the swinging lifestyle. So my first thing is, obviously, I'm not all men, so I'm sure that there are some really great questions that men have that I'm not going to ask here. And you know what? I wish I had those, because if you guys had those questions, I would ask Bella. Also, Bella cannot represent every woman, so also remember that these answers are just her opinion. And when you answer these, try to answer, I feel like, the best you can for women in general. Does that make sense? So you can give your opinion about exactly how you feel, but maybe if you're like, I think I'm not in the norm here, then also say that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, like I said, it won't be a scientific, study of all, this is how women feel about this specific subject, but I can give my 2 cents on whatever the question is as a woman who's been in the lifestyle for over 10 years.
Yeah, that's why I say,
because my knowledge and my opinion.
I know sometimes there's things that I feel like I would answer. I'd be like, I don't think this is how all men feel, but I feel this way. So I would love to know if there's something that maybe when you feel it, this is how you feel, but maybe you feel like most women would not feel that way.
Yeah, I'll also include if I've had this conversation with other women before and see, like, I don't know what the questions are, so.
All right.
Okay.
So
it's like interview style.
This is the first one that I feel like we have briefly talked about or touched on, but it's one that I feel like is one of the ones I want to know the most. And I don't know why, but this is just the way I feel.
Okay.
So whenever you are dancing on a dance floor and people are like dirty dancing, right?
Okay.
If a guy gets a boner and you can like feel that and you know that, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Because I feel like sometimes if I have a boner when I'm dancing, I'll like move to the side because I don't want to be like disrespectful.
Yeah.
So is that like, does that make sense?
Yes. Okay. So it depends, because if we have already established that, hey, we do like each other, like you can feel that there is a sexual chemistry, and this most likely sometime hopefully will turn into play, like with this dynamic, then I love whatever. I'm grinding on someone and he gets a boner. Like, hi. I'm like, if you don't get a boner, like, I'm not grinding hard enough.
That's not true.
What?
I mean, sometimes you don't always get a boner every single time. Like sometimes
I thought you said it wasn't true for me. I was like, what are you talking about?
No, I'm saying, so like, don't ask a woman, be like, oh, sometimes you don't get a boner, it doesn't mean like
No.
they don't want to. Okay.
I'm joking. I know.
Don't make men scared here, okay?
I'm joking.
We don't have to get a boner on the dance floor.
I'm just saying, if you got a boner and we can tell that we like each other. Like, I think that that's fun. I kind of also think that it's funny that I give you a boner and now you have to walk around with a boner.
Do you feel like most women would also feel that way?
I know we talked about this with our group of friends and we all felt the same way. So, like, I don't know about everybody, but I think for the most part, it's not a bad thing if you know that it's going to turn into that. And this doesn't happen very often or anything because people in the lifestyle are very respectful overall. And so if, I'm just like hypothetically speaking though, because this has never happened to me either, but if there was some guy that I hadn't ever talked to, I didn't even like him, that we have no kind of flirting, no kind of chemistry going at all, and then he just like happens to come over and he already had a boner, and then he was like grinding his boner on me, that would be like an absolute no. Yeah. That is bad. Like that, I would be like, get the fuck off of me. So
I totally get that one. I wouldn't have even been a question in my head.
Yeah.
But
so I do want to clarify.
Establishing that. Okay. No, I think that's interesting. I think that's good to know. So
sometimes also whenever you get the boner, then you can feel it, and then I like turn around and then I can kind of like feel it with my hands on the dance floor.
Yeah.
And yeah, hot.
Okay.
Next question, please.
Wait. So, men, now we know, as a general rule, for at least one woman on this earth, it's a good thing, but it's all about establishing a connection. So if you're saying like you've made out before, maybe you've just been like really flirty, and then you start grinding, then it happens.
Yeah.
Chill. Okay. Awesome. All right. Let's see. I wrote these questions down, so let me see what my next question is. What is one major turn on and turn off that men can do while flirting? And I know Bella is passionate about this because we feel like flirting is such a big part of like establishing that connection. And I know that sometimes guys don't flirt as much. And I do think sometimes it's because guys want to be respectful and don't want to make anyone feel uncomfortable. So what is like one like really good thing a guy can do for flirting, and what's something that would be really a negative thing?
This is a really difficult question to gauge for most women. So, like, I don't know, because the way that I like people to flirt with me is going to be completely different, I think, for like I mean, we might have some of the same similarities. It's something that sounds hot and flirty to me, another woman might not like at all. So this one I'm going to specifically say, I don't know for everybody, okay? But for me, personality is a huge thing for me. So any kind of bantery, joking around with each other, that kind of flirting is really going to make me like establish that connection. And Jase is really good at that. Jase is really good at flirting in a way where it's not even like physically at first. And then you can kind of gauge, or at least for me, I can kind of gauge like how it is and how I'm feeling. And then with that, then usually I'll do like the first kind of like touch move where it's like, oh, like I'm going to touch your arm or like touch your leg or something. And that way I feel like that signals to the other person that, okay, now I can up the ante. And with that, flirting more physically in a way that is like still bantery and jokey, but
like now adds more physical into it as well.
yeah.
I think that that's a really good thing because I have had, this is not like the question of this, but I definitely have had guys say to me like, how do you flirt with people? Because I don't want to be disrespectful. I don't want to touch someone who doesn't want to be touched. I don't want any of that. And I do feel like for me personally anyway, I do start by, it is always like the verbal joking around, not touching type flirting. And generally that's reciprocated back either with like what you said, a woman touching me, or her being very like obviously very flirty back in that same way. And when that happens, I feel like I know that it's, a safer space. Like now that you've been touching me, it's a safer space for me to start breaking that touch barrier while flirting as well. Obviously, very gradually and making sure that person is comfortable as well. But I do think that's a good way to go about it because I feel like I would never want to go up and just, oh, I've been talking to this woman, I'm into her, now I'm going to touch her to be flirty. Because I feel like that I could make someone feel uncomfortable. So I think that doing it that way makes sense to me anyway.
Yeah. It's just like gauging it. So that's how I personally like to be flirted with, and that's what I guess turns me on when it comes to flirting.
Do you like one more than the other? Do you like that banter talking type stuff more, or do you like once it gets past that the actual like physical flirting, or is it the two things in combination? Or
I really need both. I do like it to start off with it not being completely physical because personality has a lot to do with it for me. I can't, like, there's people that we've met in the lifestyle who are like so on paper sexy and hot and like completely just physically very, very attractive, but I just don't have any other connection with them. And even if they were to be just physically flirty with me, I don't think that it would do anything because it's actually happened before, and like I'm not like interested in playing with these couples that I'm talking about. So it really is both put together, but I definitely needs to be both, and it can't just be physical and it can't just be verbal or personality. It really needs to have both, because once you do that physical touch barrier one is whenever I feel like, okay, like I'm really into you. I want to move this forward and play at some point. I will say, I don't know if I'm in the minority. I do think that women like both, right? But I do think that most women probably like that physical touch more. I think that it's just a more straightforward way to know that that person is into you, and it gets them more going, I think. Because like I said, I do need that personality, but I need also that physical to get me past the point of just friendship. So I think that it might be a little bit more of the, but like I said, I don't know for sure. And when it comes to that physical kind of flirty, for me personally, it's more of a dominant kind of flirty. Like kind of take charge. I don't want to have to be the one who does it all. Like, if you can tell, then do something about it. Like, I think there's so many times, I would say a majority of men in the lifestyle, for me, don't get that. They don't understand that. But like I said, I think it also, like you said, they just want to be respectful.
And I think that's very, very true. I think it's super true that men want to be respectful. And that's why I think about going about the way of being flirty vocally before breaking that touch barrier, I feel like can really help with men anyway, knowing that you can feel safe to continue flirting. Because if you flirt with a woman and she gives you nothing back and you're like talking, right, it's pretty clear that don't touch her. Like, obviously she's not into you. And so I think it is a lot of time men don't be flirty.
That one's kind of hard to navigate too, because not every woman is super talkative, so like she also could be nervous. I know it's all kind of hard to gauge. It's hard to navigate, but for me, if I'm out there and I'm like putting it out there that I am interested and you can tell, and then I'm still not getting anything back, I'm still not getting the flirting back, that's when it's like the ick for me. That's when I'm just like, okay, like I just feel like I'm tired of putting out the effort and not really knowing, because then I'm just not going to be like as attracted anymore.
I think that's very valid. I think that's good. And what is one thing that's something that like is negative on flirting for men? I know you said walking up if you already have a boner and grinding when you've never met somebody, but like, what's one other thing that's something that maybe a man would do that would be the opposite? I mean, would it be the fact of just not being flirty at all?
No, I wouldn't say that, because that doesn't give me the ick as not being flirty.
So what's a negative then?
I'm just being like a shitty guy. It's just I feel like my icks come from when I learn something about them or something that they said or just something that makes me feel weird of their opinions on certain things, like that's, or how they treat other people. So it's not even a physical thing. Like I said, so it's like so much personality for me.
I didn't know if it would be like a turn off if a guy came up and like their first words, like they kind of, touch your hip and they're like, you're just so sexy and beautiful. Like, is that like a 2-4 thing? You're like, oh, I don't like that? Or is like,
see, to me, I feel like that's like a shitty guy thing to do anyway. Like, I feel like that's included in that.
I feel like a lot of women might like that too, though.
I think that if there has been no establishment, I haven't even made eye contact with you or anything, and then you have the gall to just come up to me and do that, yeah, that is an ick. Like,
okay, so there is things that you could do that were just like a straight physical, like it's not like they're being a bad guy per se, but just going up and straight saying something like that is like not being flirty, right? So I feel like that could be a negative.
Is that their
game.
idea of flirting?
I'm sure it is. If you
I
go
just
up
feel
and
like
tell
that's
a woman how beautiful they look or how sexy they look, I think a lot of men, that could be their flirting capacity. And so I'm saying that would be a negative flirting capacity.
Yes, for me it would be. I don't know for everyone else, but I need more than that.
All right, here's my next question.
This podcast is brought to you by us, Bella and Jase. If you're going on a vacation or maybe you have a gift that you want to give your other lifestyle friends and you're looking for lifestyle clothing, we have the best apparel on the market for you. We have not only clothing, bikinis, swimsuits, we have backpacks, tumblers, cups, anything that you can name, we probably have it. You can find that at foreplay.com/shop.
Let's say you're at a party, you're going on vacation, things are moving a little bit slow. Maybe you want some conversation to flow. maybe you want to move stuff towards play. Well, we have the perfect game for you. It's called Foreplay the Game. It is a digital and physical lifestyle icebreaker game, and you can find out all about it at foreplay.com/games. That's number 4, OURPLAY.com/games.
If you don't have a lifestyle vacation planned, a resort or a cruise planned, why not? You can join us. You can find that at foreplay.com/playcation. We have not only information about the events and trips that will be on this year, but also other options for you as well. And it doesn't cost any extra for you to book through our links, but helps us a lot, helps us continue to be able to make this type of content for you. Now back to the show.
Do women generally prefer oral penetration or like one more than the other? It's like a 60-40 split.
60-40 split.
Yeah, like what?
That's going to also depend, I think, woman to woman. But to be safe, I'd say half and half. Do both. For me, I actually like penetration more than oral. Quite a bit. But I think you just need foreplay. So it just needs to be foreplay and penetration. Like, it just needs to be kind of have all of those things. And for me, oral isn't my favorite type of foreplay. I prefer making out and... Well, okay, here's the thing. I like giving oral. I just don't like getting oral as much as I think. I think I'm in the minority here because I don't like getting eaten out as much as I think most women do. But I like eating out and giving head a lot. So I guess that would still be like the 50-50, right? Like, I want to give head and be penetrated.
Yeah.
And eat someone out and get penetrated.
See, also like where I feel like part of I feel like so much in our play sessions, right? So much time it'll start with oral, right? And then it goes into penetration. And I feel like generally women more of the time keep wanting to be fucked, right? So it's like, oh, like I'll move you one way and then you're a fucking missionary and somebody like, fuck me doggy.
So you're talking about like time of the play session.
Yeah,
split.
like...
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about like just enjoyment
I mean,
of
both,
it.
both, I guess. But also, because I feel like where I've noticed and what made me, I think, originally think of this question is the fact that I feel like so much time it starts with oral, but then once penetration happens, I feel like it generally seems to me from what women are saying, right, during these play sessions, that they want to continue to be fucked. And I feel like it doesn't go back to oral as much as, like, the penetration continues.
Yeah, I would say for me, okay, I don't know for everybody. And in pretty much all of our play sessions, it is a lot more fucking than oral when it comes to time-wise and percentage-wise. But there's also a lot of times where we're getting fucked and then also eating someone out or getting fucked and, so there's like a lot going on at the same time. So just depends.
I think that answers my question. So I think that's just where it came from. I just was curious.
Yeah. Just foreplay is very important. Listening to the Foreplay podcast, just kidding. Yeah, foreplay in general is very important.
All right, next question. So like what are you looking for in like the ideal play partner in the lifestyle? Is it looks that really matter, or is it the personality, or is it a combo and one weighs heavier than the other, or does that make sense what I'm asking?
Yeah, what am I looking for? So for it to be a good play partner, like I do need to be firstly at least somewhat physically attracted to you. Because if there's not any kind of physical attraction, regardless of how amazing the personality is, no matter how much we get along, if I'm not physically attracted, it's not going to work out play wise. So I wouldn't say that's like the most important thing, but it definitely is like a big part of it. Because I could be friends with anybody, like platonic friends, you could be friends with anybody without having to be physically attracted to them. So then I'm looking for a great personality. And like I said, it doesn't have to be like perfect on paper, like what I would look for in, a romantic partner, that kind of personality, but I need to at least like you as a person. And them having some kind of flirt game in some kind of capacity, some kind of way. Doesn't have to be perfect, like I said, but I need to know that at least you want to fuck me, and at least it's going to be a fun time fucking you. So I guess all three of those things put together. So compatibility when it comes to looks and personality, and a sense of, I guess, sexual energy that is not super duper charged. I don't think that's the right word, but I need to tell. I need to be able to
match
tell.
your freak.
Yeah, I need someone to match my freak.
So I have 2 questions left, but I read my next question and it actually made me think of one more question. So I'm going to change it to 3 questions.
Okay.
So, and this one I'm just really curious about. So we talked at the beginning about people flirting with you, right? And in my head, I was thinking about guys flirting with you. Is there a difference, like, in what a girl would do to flirt with you that would make you feel like flirted with in a girl that you're interested in as a bi woman?
That's a good question, because with girls, it's so different.
Yeah, I'm curious to
Because-
what that world is like as a man who's never seen, I can't know the inside of how girls work. So how does that flirting work? That's really interesting to me.
I think it's just us getting along. Like, I think it's just us being able to chat and yap and be flirty, kiss each other, that kind of thing, like a playful type of flirty. If we can naturally and easily do that, that signals to me that this is going to work out play-wise. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no. Oh, have you ever had a woman that maybe is actually more directly flirty, that's not the talking and making out, but like a more dominant flirty of a woman who's maybe more dominant in that sense? Have you ever had a woman do that? And if so,
Okay.
how was that different and what did it make you feel?
So there's definitely a double standard here. Like, I will be honest, because when a woman who, I'm saying this because this has happened before, but the thing is, we had already established that we liked each other, like we enjoyed each other's company. I wouldn't say that we were like being super flirty already, but I asked her something. Oh, I told her that I liked her necklace, and then she said, I like kissing pretty girls, which actually, I guess with a guy that would work too.
But you're saying generally,
if we
women,
did it,
the women that you flirted with and played with, it hasn't been like a direct flirting in that kind of sense where she said a line that is a I'm flirting with you line. You said most of the time it's more you're just talking and having fun, and then
yeah, it's more like, oh my God, you're so hot. Like, you're in the bathroom or something and you're just like chatting and you're like, you're just so sexy. Like, you're so pretty. Like, those kinds of things. And then it kind of leads to like making out. This girl, I just said, I complimented her necklace, and she's like, I like making out with pretty girls. And then we made out. So like, that definitely doesn't happen very often, where I would say, to me, it hasn't happened to me very often, where a woman was very directly flirty in that sense, like a very dominant flirty, but it would work. But like I said, if that were as a guy who did that, it has like a different energy to it.
I want to say that this woman, I just think it's interesting that I feel like most of the time also, there is women who are also say more dominant flirty lines with me, but it's less often. I feel like most of the time I'm leading that. And this woman, after she told you that, she looked at me and said, do you want to fuck
me?
Yeah, I was like, yeah, do you want to fuck me? And so she was just dominant towards everybody. And so
I think
it's
that's
interesting.
rare.
Yeah, it's just
It
interesting.
is hot though. Like, it was hot for you too, right? I
No, it
remember we
was.
still think about that to
I
this
still
day.
think about it to this day. Yeah,
And that was like 7 years. It was forever ago.
It was one of our earlier lifestyle experiences.
Yeah.
And I remember everything that girl did. She was like, she just told me what she wanted. She's like, fuck me this way. Fuck me this way. Move me like this. And I was like eating her out, and she literally grabbed my head and was like, no, fuck me. And like, I mean, just like literally just whatever she wanted. And I was just like, okay, you're in charge. I think that's really interesting though.
Did I even answer the question? What was the question?
The question was about flirting with women and how that works different than flirting with men. And yeah, I mean, I think that answers that question. I'm assuming that the same thing for what do you look for in a girl that's a plate martyr is just someone you get along with as friends, then you can have a conversation with, and it's you just
Yeah,
also
whenever
find
I was,
attractive. Yeah.
whenever I answered that just goes for everybody,
Yeah.
not specific gender or anything.
I think
Yeah.
that is interesting. Okay, so the next question is: as a bi woman, do you prefer to start with other women, your own partner, or the other male? And I guess in general,
I can't answer this for everybody. I can say what I enjoy.
yeah. And
Okay.
also, is it also per play session? Like, do you generally enjoy being with men more or women more, or is it equal, or just completely dependent on the situation?
So ideally, I like couples. Like I like couples with, and I wish you were bi, but you're not bi. But I like playing with couples where the other woman is bi. Because being a bi woman, it's fun to have all of it. um, and so to start, I either like starting with you, like I like starting with my own partner, or starting with another woman. I think ideally I there's not really like a, I wouldn't say one more than the other. I just think it's like however it naturally flows. Also it depends on the other people. It depends on the kind of vibe, and every experience is different. So it just depends there. But I don't really like going in and starting completely with the other guy immediately. That's not my favorite. I will do it. Like it's not like it's
Like if it
bad.
flows that way.
Yeah. Like I'm not against it or anything, but ideally I would say that's not my favorite. Um, and what was the other question you asked?
As far as like when it actually comes to play as a bi woman, do you feel like you enjoy like time with men more or women more, or is it literally just person to person and it's just per experience?
Definitely per experience, but in an ideal situation, I actually like it to be like kind of half and half, but half and half in a way where I like a lot of things happening at once. So if I'm getting fucked, like I want to be eating a girl out too at the same time sometimes. So not like the entire time, but I kind of like it to even out in the entire play session.
Okay.
So if I'm like, and I also like fucking women with a strap on. I like when they fuck me with a strap on. So there's a lot of things just going on. So I like it all.
That's what I figured.
Yeah.
That's what I figured because watching you, right, in a play session, that's what it seems like. But I didn't know if there was any. And that's what I figured the answer was. But I was just curious if I was right on my,
Yeah.
thought in my head.
When it comes to group play, I really like it to be group play. I don't, and like I said, I'm not saying I don't like whenever it's just a swap and then like you're with another different partner, I'm with the other partner, and we're right next to each other. I really like when we're next to each other, like close enough to each other that we can be doing things with the other people around us. There's touching everywhere.
I agree. I definitely like whenever there is I guess like the
Like
don't-
it's like separate but same bed,
like
same
I
room.
like. I mean, I feel like I wouldn't want 100% of the play session to be
exactly
a group, but I definitely prefer when it is the group, and I like when everyone's right next to each other. But like, I think it's kind of fun to like when I look over and you're a little bit away from me, like I watch what's going on. Like I think that's sexy too. But then I also my favorite though is when you're right there next to me, like I can touch you.
But see, what I'm saying is I like all of that. So whenever we're in the
Me too. That's what I'm saying too. I also I like all of that. But I have a preference of one over the other. Like my favorite is when it's like truly a group. But I think that the whole experience together is what makes it really. Like,
yeah,
I like all of it. Does that make sense?
yeah. So what I was saying, I think we're on the same page
I
here.
do
Where
too.
it's like I like when we're also swapped separately, and like maybe you're on a couch and I'm like on the bed, but then we get back together and then we do everything as a group too. So we just get everything. I just like to
Yeah.
have my cake and eat it too. Okay, guys.
That's exactly how I feel. So my last question is there anything that men could do to make women feel even like safer and secure in the lifestyle, whether that be when flirting or whatever they're doing, or whenever you're actually in that play session? Is there things that men can do to make women feel the most comfortable and the most safe? Because I think that's really important that women feel that way.
Just be respectful. Make sure you're respecting boundaries. Of course, I think this is all just like common sense when it comes to being a decent human, but being respectful, communicating. Whenever I see a man be very respectful and taking care of his spouse or his wife, his girlfriend, that also makes me feel safe too. Because if you're like that all the time with a woman you're around all the time, then it will make me feel more safe as well. When it comes to flirting and stuff, I think just, yeah, again, just know the vibe. Don't put people down. There's some people who just are very loud and will put people down for a joke or something. And when I'm saying putting people down, not in like a joking, cute, flirty way, doing it in a way where it's just gross and weird. I don't like that. I think that when you are completely eyes on and so much attention to other people and not your partner, I think that's a big red flag too. That's not going to make me feel personally safe around you, because if you're not going to be like that with your partner, I guess that goes back to like what I said at the beginning. But yeah, just be a nice, respectful, kind human being. And then I think that will make other people around you feel safe. Have a good energy about you.
Try to be emotionally intelligent and read situations well.
Yeah, I wouldn't say try to be emotionally intelligent. Just like, I
Or
think
be,
just be,
yeah, I mean, yeah.
like be be emotionally intelligent.
I guess
Which
why is like make sure that you're like being mindful of those things. Like
yeah.
I love it. I mean there you go, man. I mean I think that those all make a lot of sense to me, and it's interesting to be able to ask questions to get into inside the mind of a woman, because I know that like men and women think differently in a lot of ways, and it's interesting to know those answers, at least for you, right? And I know.
Yeah, take that with a grain of salt, because I don't know.
Assume that all women feel the way about the answers that Bella said, but I'm sure that there's at least a lot of women that feel the way you feel.
Yeah.
And so
maybe,
it's just interesting just to have even one woman's thoughts on those and one woman's opinions, because it's very interesting to me. So thank you for
Yeah.
answering the questions.
Thank you for asking. I did like this. I think we should do a different one where I come up with questions and ask you and get into the mind of a male swinger in the lifestyle.
You know, the whole reason this podcast idea came to me was the thought of, is it rude to have a boner when you're dancing with somebody? And then I just started thinking, I was like, is there other things that men want to ask? And I mean, I feel like I've asked you that before, but like that men want to know that they just don't know for sure, that they maybe are curious about, or like I said, I'd never thought about like the difference in how you really felt about like a woman flirting with you and like what the inside of that looked like. I think that's really interesting. So thank you for answering the questions. It was
Thanks
really
for
fun.
asking.
So
I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope it gave you some insights a little bit. And let's move on to Bella and Jase's
Whip
whip
sessions.
sessions.
All right, you want me to go first, or would you like to go first?
Should we always play rock, paper, scissors?
No, because sometimes it takes too long.
That's true. We do. We have like the same brain sometimes, so we'll play rock, paper, scissors, and it'll be like 7 or 8 times of us tying in a row.
Yeah.
You can go first.
Okay, I'll go first. I have 2. One is my computer background. I've had the same computer background for like 4 years. It was Dua Lipa in a Sailor Moon comic book of her album cover. Not comic book. A Sailor Moon version of Dua Lipa's album cover of Future Nostalgia.
Yeah.
And
like art style.
I
Sailor
loved
Moon
it.
Art style.
Yeah, I loved
90s
it.
art style.
Yeah, it was very cool. That was my background for a very long time. And then, like 2 weeks ago, I cleaned up the background on my computer so the desktop was cleaner. I was like, I want a new background. And so I took 3 different iPhone backgrounds of Chapel Roan that are all different pink, just very, I don't know how to describe it. It's just fun.
It's just
and
very
pink,
girly
and
pop.
I just really like it. And so my background, it's just Chapel Roan everywhere, and it's just pink and fun, and I love it. And I'm obsessed. I literally, every time I open my computer, I get joy out of it. Also, you printed a thing next to us because Bella wanted to have some decor on our nightstands, and you printed me a Chapel Roan picture frame of all these comic book art styles that this girl drew, and I love it too. And so those are really fun. I could like put in a picture of what it looks like if you guys want to see it, but I don't know if anyone cares. So
It's really cute. It's funny because I don't know if you meant to do it in that way, but it's literally just her ass right in the middle. Like it's a perfect It's literally smack dab in the middle, just her behind. It's very hot.
It wasn't
But-
like my intention. I just feel like the colors, like, I found them in that order and I just put them in that order.
It just makes sense because it's like a darker pink in the middle.
Also, the middle one is like my favorite. Like, I think it's the cutest, and I feel like it's the most her heavy. And the ones on the other sides have more of the little, like, I don't know if you'd call those stickers or what you would call those little extra things.
Yeah.
I just feel like it framed it nicer.
It does. It's really funny though.
Yeah, it is.
Every
funny.
time I look over, I do also smile. I do like looking at your background.
Yeah.
We haven't printed it out yet, or I haven't printed it out yet, but I am going to make a bumper sticker. I've designed it. I just haven't printed it yet, and it says, "Sorry for swerving. I was doing the hot to go dance." And
Yeah.
we're gonna stick that on our car.
It's gonna be pretty fun. So that's one of mine. My other obsession is the song "Denial's a River" by Doechii.
That's so good. I love that song.
It's really cool. I heard it for the first time a few weeks ago, and then
What? I feel like you've heard it a long time
maybe
ago.
a month ago.
Oh.
It wasn't that long ago. I heard some of
it was
Doechii's
months
stuff,
ago,
but it was
yeah.
like that song specifically. I remember hearing a TikTok. I was like, oh, it's almost like poetry, like slam poetry, but rapping. I was like, this is really cool. Then I saw the music video for it, and then she performed on the Grammys, and it was just, it's a really cool song. I think Doechii has a really cool sound, and yeah, that's my other obsession.
Her performance was incredible on the Grammys. It was so good.
What are your obsessions, girl?
My obsessions.
Weekly
my...
obsession.
my f- Oh my gosh. Nice.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for setting that up for me. My first obsession is neon yarn. So when you're in the lifestyle, you go to a lot of glow parties, and I always wear the same, I guess not the same clothes, but I don't have that many glow skirts. And I love crocheting, and there's yarn that glows under the black light or UV light, and it is so fun to work with. So I've been obsessed with neon yarn and just making crochet and knit wearables for glow parties. That's been really fun for me. And
You also made a knit thing for your baby Yoda for Temptation Cruise. A skirt. I know that's
did.
kind of off subject, but it's pretty cool for anyone. You guys should go see it. I'm sure it'll be on Instagram at some point by the time this podcast comes out. Maybe. In the future, they'll be there somewhere on the internet, and it's
I
really
also
cute.
crocheted the little baby Yoda ears too. But I love crocheting. It's just so fun. It's so relaxing and meditative for me. But yeah, neon yarn is one. And then my other one is just like ambient lighting in general, like having different lamps and things. We always have our portable lights. We always talk about how important it is and how crazy different just having lighting can change the space. But at home, we have our lamps that are just up kind of by our TVs, but now we've kind of added more random little lamps just around.
You've
I've
added more lamps and more fake plants
Yes.
and candle warmers and a lot of just. But I really love it. I mean, I
It
think
really it makes it so warm and like cozy feeling.
I think that where this started from was we put up a Christmas tree for the first time in this apartment that we live in, and we're like, this lighting is really nice at night. Yeah. And I feel like you've been into just creating better, cozier lighting, especially for your reading and things like that. And so, I mean, I definitely enjoy it because we've gotten a few new lamps lately, and they make a nice vibe.
I know, they're so fun. It's so warm and cozy. Because usually we just have like different colored lamps. So at night we'll have like a green and pinkish color or like that kind of thing. But yeah, so
It
that's
gives a
my
different
other.
vibe. Yeah. So that is our weekly obsessions. That is that podcast. Since Bella enjoyed it and I enjoyed it, we will record one in the future of questions that women have for men in the lifestyle. And I'd be curious to what questions maybe women have for men and what answers I might have to those.
And if you want to include some questions, definitely let us know. You can go to foreplay.com/ask and then put those questions in there, and then I can add them on. Because I'll think of some, but if there are ones that are better than mine, then we'll add that in.
Also, I guess if there is men out there that have a lot more questions too and want to submit it, and we got enough questions that are like very valid questions, I guess we could film a second one of these.
Yeah.
So I guess if men have a lot more questions, because I didn't ask anybody, I just came up with these myself. And like I said, I could have forgot some really good ones. So men, if you have a lot of questions for women as well, write those in, and if we get enough, then we can always make another these podcasts. But thank you guys so much for listening to this podcast. So we'll talk to you guys in the next one. Bye.
If you'd like to support the show, you can leave us a 5-star review wherever you're listening to our podcast. All our information will be listed in the show notes below and on our website, fourplay.com. That's number 4, OURPLAY.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel where we make videos and vlogs about the swinging lifestyle. Head to fourplay.com/YouTube to watch and subscribe. We have the ultimate adult party game for the sexually inclined called Foreplay the Game that's both digital and physical. It's perfect for breaking the ice and spicing up any party. You can find more information at foreplay.com/games. We also have the best swinger lifestyle, kinky, and adult humor clothing and accessories that you can find at foreplay.com/shop. If you're looking to plan a lifestyle destination, booking through our links at foreplay.com/travel really helps support the show and helps us be able to continue to create this type of content for you. We're on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Twitch, and more. You can find all our current social media accounts at foreplay.com/socials, and I have an OnlyFans, which you can find at onlyfans.com/BellaLunaVIP. We also have a Facebook group and Discord community and would love for you to join us. You can find the direct links in the show notes below. Lastly, we're on STC and Cassidy at Foreplay, and you can get a free full membership trial by using our link. You can email us at hello@foreplay.com with any questions or comments, or head to foreplay.com/ask. Again, all our information will be listed in the show notes below, and we thank you so much for listening to our podcast. See you in the next one. Bye!